Hello, thank y'all so much for joining us for our webinar about becoming a transformational leader. Hey, I just want to dig in to leadership a little bit and talk about being a transformational leader. But if you Google it and if you look up how the world defines transformational leader, that's not what I'm talking about. Okay, so I'm really talking about how to be a Christ-centered transformational leader. And what that means is to be a leader who is more focused on the people that are following her than being focused on her personal position or her status or her success or how she appears to look as a leader. Instead, focusing on the people that God has brought into her sphere of influence, so that she can not only be used by God to make an impact in their work and in their day-to-day life, but also in all of their life, right? Where they can feel an impact that changes who they really are. And so that's what we're talking about today. So I'm super excited that so many people are interested in that, because y'all, it is so incredibly important, especially in this day and this time that we are living, that we just really rise up and lead out in the way that God is calling us to rise up and lead out, right? So that we can focus on doing what we're supposed to do and being who God is calling us to be. So we have all had leaders, right, in our life who really weren't transformational leaders. I'm sure y'all have experienced some leaders who were kind of hard to work with or to associate with. And it was just a struggle. And then we get all caught up in leading and acting just like everyone else, right? We follow leaders who really aren't transformational leaders, and we start implementing what they're doing. We start kind of following the same system that they're following, but what they're trying to accomplish is really more about building themselves up and looking super successful. And we think that's what we want, right? So we start doing it the way that the world's doing it, instead of fixing our eyes on Jesus and leading like Jesus leads. And the reality of it is, when we do that, we really get everything that we really wanted, right? We have people who begin to follow us or begin to turn to us because they know that we are showing up to love and to serve and to give, that we are showing up to make a difference, that we are showing up to pour into the lives of others. And I would imagine that you're here because that matters to you too, and because you want that too, but it's a little bit difficult at times, right? And it can be really, really challenging to even be a leader at all. First of all, I mean, raise your hand if you have ever felt like, what in the world am I doing in this position of leadership? How did I get here? Whether you're working in a corporate office, or whether you are serving on a committee, or whether you are an entrepreneur and you have employees, or maybe a team that is looking to you, wherever it is that you are leading, sometimes we're like, why me? What am I doing in this position? And we want to think sometimes that, like, I earned my way here, or I've been working really hard to get to this place. But the real reality is that God has placed us here, and He has placed us here for such a time as this. Such a time as this. And so now is the time that He is asking us to rise up and to lead out in a way that He can use us to work in us and through us to transform the lives of other people. And so I know we also get so caught up not only in, I feel, like I am not a leader and here I am. And can I tell you, I get that, because I can remember always saying, I feel like a little girl walking into a room of incredible women. And so sometimes God even places people on our team or people who look to us as their leader, and we feel like, man, she could be leading me. What am I doing supposed to lead her? And it could be that God wants to use that, right, to kind of propel you, to kind of push you, to kind of say, come on, girl, rise up in your leadership. Let's get you to where you need to be, because look at the people who are coming along to follow after you. Also, sometimes it's a real struggle to lead because, man, we just have some conflicts, right, with people. So maybe the conflict is with the person who is your leader. Maybe there's conflict with the people who are on your team that you're serving, that you're trying to lead. Maybe there's conflict with one another, right? And they're coming to you to resolve this conflict that they're having. Or maybe it's a conflict within yourself that you've been asked to do some things that, like, oh, I'm just really not on board with that. And that is such a challenge to lead when that is what's going on, right? And then there's the struggle of connecting. How in the world do we connect with the people that God is asking us to lead? Because they're all so different. They come from different backgrounds. They have different beliefs. They have different goals and plans and ulterior motives. And so here you are, supposed to show up as a leader. But how can you lead well when they're all so different? That's really hard. That's a really big struggle as a leader. And so it often feels like I really connect with her and I really connect with her, but I just don't connect with those people. And so how do you stop that, right? How do you stop where these are my favorites and these are not? And people know it, because that's going to impact your leadership and how you lead. And so how can you change that so that you can make a difference in every life, right? So that you can enrich every life you touch, not just some of those lives. And so we'll talk about some more struggles, but let me kind of tell you my story. My story really goes back so many years ago when I was placed in a position of leadership and did not feel qualified, did not feel equipped, and really was just like, oh my goodness, I'm going to have to run if I'm going to keep, stay ahead of the people that I'm supposed to be leading. And there were so many days and so many times when I had to show up to lead, being like, am I doing here? Who am I kidding? Right now, today, I am showing up and I'm talking to you with me on my knees before saying, God, I'm doing here. Why are you asking me to do this? And so, y'all, it's really not about who we are, and it's really not about what we've done, how educated we are, what has happened in our life. It's really about who He is and how He wants to use us. And that's really step number one to become a transformational leader, to recognize that you don't have to do all of these things to get yourself qualified, right? That really, instead of doing a lot of striving, you just need to surrender your leadership to Him and let Him do with it what He wants to do with it, right? And so He's placed us here, and now let's see what He's going to do with us. And how is He going to use everything we've been through in our life, the good and the bad? How is He going to use all of the struggles, the hard times that have really grown us and stretched us and refined us, right? That's what He's going to use to help us rise up and be a transformational leader today. So when I started having that, oh my goodness, I am not qualified feelings way back, I can remember just so many different leaders that I had been exposed to. And some of them, I really think God brought them into my life to say, Pam, this is who you do not want to be. Like we don't act like this, right? And then He brought other people into my life where you're like, this this is a leader who is honoring God. This is a leader who is making a difference in other people's lives. And so, eventually God placed me under leaders who were truly transformational leaders. Now, not only were they my leaders, but they really were my spiritual mentors too. They taught me so much about not just talking the talk, but actually walking the walk, right? And see, that's so important. If you want people to follow you, you got to walk the walk. You can't just talk the talk, because they are watching you and they know, okay, she says that this is what she expects of us and this is what she believes, yet I'm watching her do that. I heard what she said to her boss, or I heard what she said to the person in the restaurant, and I really don't think she was showing much, integrity or credibility there, because she was not saying what she says she believes, right? And so they're watching you all the time. They're hearing your personal phone conversations. They're seeing you out and about, and they know, are you or are you not who you say you are? Well, it's so important that you are. If you want people to follow you, then you have got to be who it is that you say that you are. And you've got to show up that way over and over and over and over again. Right. And so God placed me with these leaders in my life. And let me tell you what happened. Like, it suddenly began to God use them. It wasn't that they had magical powers, right? But that they were just doing what God was asking them to do. And as they showed up that way over and over and over again, I recognized it. And it made me start to realize, well, I'm not showing up like that. They are, but I'm not showing up like that. So it created in me a desire to grow and change and be different. And God used them to really reveal that to me and to show that to me, so that I could learn and grow. And then, this is the best part, then what happened was other people who were experiencing these same transformational leaders also wanted to show up and become transformational leaders. So we had a community, right? And so there were other leaders that I could walk alongside, or that I could talk to on the phone, or that I could reach out on social media and ask a question. And so I learned that this community, having a community of like-minded women who all wanted to lead in a way that was honoring God, became so important. Because there were times when I wanted to be like, man, I need that girl off my team, right? But I had these other people who was going to hang on a minute, let's talk about it. And they would remind me that I needed to show her some grace, that I needed to have some mercy, because, there were some things going on in her life, and that I needed to be kind and loving and show up to show her, I am who I say I am. And I really do care about you. I'm not just saying I do, but I really do see you, and I really do care about you. And so having that community is so important. There are times when we want to look down and be discouraged and frustrated, and having a community is where our other leaders will go, girl, look up, God's got you, look to him, keep doing what you know to be is the right thing to do. Don't get distracted, don't lose focus on why you're here, why God is calling you to lead. So I hope that's kind of resonating with you. Once I had these transformational leaders in my life who were showing me what it looked like to walk the walk, it changed everything for me. It did. It changed everything for me. And it can change everything for you. It can help you see that you can stop striving and you can just simply start surrendering. Right? Man, it's a lot easier to surrender your leadership to the Lord and let him lead and guide you than it is to do it in your own strength, to be running and trying to keep up with the Joneses and trying to earn everything on your own, instead of letting him lead and guide you. When you're focusing on him, sometimes, I've even had times when, like, yes, I was trying to do all the things that God was calling me to do. But at the same time, there were times when he would prompt me to just pause and maybe even say, go ahead. Go ahead. It's okay. You can go ahead of me, because maybe it wasn't my time or it wasn't the right season or it was just her turn. Right. And there were times when I stepped down a little bit from leadership and I saw others rise up. And so that's a really cool thing to see happen when you're a transformational leader, when it's not all about you, but when it's what it's about, what is the best thing, what is God's, what does he want, right? That's what's best always. What is his plan? What is his will during this time? And so if you're going to be a transformational leader, some things have to change. You have to do some things differently than what we are currently taught to do. Most leadership books are going to all be about your ambition, about your desire to accomplish, about your desire to set your goals and accomplish those goals, for you to move forward, for you to be climbing up that ladder, right? And it's whether you are working in a corporation or whether you are leading a team, like maybe as an entrepreneur, or maybe you're just serving in your community and you've become a community leader. Like there's a different way to lead than what the world says we should be leading. I remember, I had been placed in leadership. I had a lot of people on my team, and I had been leading for, probably 15, close to, maybe 18 years. And God just kind of really rocked my world with the scripture about, gosh, I can't think right now. I went totally blank. Let me think. Let nothing be done for selfish ambition or conceit. Let nothing. I mean, I got so caught up on that word nothing that I would say no thing, no, not one thing, nothing. Let nothing be done for selfish ambition or conceit. And so I'm like, it means like this is not about me. Nothing is about me. Like this is not, I'm not supposed to be leading so that Pam can have a better car, so that Pam can have, whatever that she wants. I'm supposed to be leading so that God can use me for his glory. It's not about me getting the credit. It's about him getting all the glory. And so a transformational leader, a Christ-centered transformational leader, is not going to be seeking applause, is not going to be seeking all the credit. They're going to be pointing others to the Lord. And so what's so cool is that people will say, man, there's something different about her. What is up with that? Man. And so what you'll find is that they'll start saying, hey, can we talk? Can I just come meet you for a minute? Hey, can we have coffee? Like they're going to be drawn to you. It is really attractive when someone is not self-centered, when someone is not self-focused, and when someone is not stepping on other people for personal gain. But when they're being more open and transparent, when they're honest, when they're giving, when they're showing up to serve instead of, showing up to give instead of showing up to get all of the time, it makes such a difference. So I wanted to give you kind of an example because you may be like me, and I've got some baggage. I've got a past, I've made some blunders in my life. And so I feel like those things hold me back, right? That, man, I am such a failure. How can I lead when I have all of these things that I've done in my past? And so, I get tickled sometimes because I think about Peter and how, Peter denied the Lord 3 times and he thought he would never do that. And he did. And I think we're the same because we think, man, I would never do that, but we do. right? We do. We deny him when we don't do what he's asking us to do, or when we know what we should do and we choose not to. We're just denying the Lord, right? We're just saying, no, I'm not doing what you say. Right. And so Peter, he did this thinking he would never do it. And that God, once he did it, that God could not use him. But then after Jesus was raised from the dead, right, and he went and met with the disciples, he talked to Peter. And 3 different times he told Peter to feed his sheep, right? And so I was just looking at this scripture and I was studying it, and I even looked online about it. And do y'all know that the first time that he said, feed my sheep, I'm on the wrong scripture, hang on. The first time that he said it, he was really talking about being a shepherd and tending and feeding and caring for people, right? Like really showing up to be kind and thoughtful and considerate and taking care of them. And then the second time he said, tend my sheep. And he was talking that time more about in a supervisory capacity. So he's talking to us as leaders, that we are supposed to show up not only to feed them, but to lead them, right? For them, right? The shepherd made sure that they went along, went the right way, went to the right place, showed up to eat the right grass, and that we are to do that we are to have that oversight, that just continual action of being the leader, to help, to serve, to show. And then the third time that he said it was kind of a combination of both, feed them and tend to them. And so what that means is that we are to care for them, but also to provide spiritual food, so that we are continually to nourish and care for their souls, bringing them into the fullness of spiritual maturity. And you're like, Pam, I'm not a preacher. Why are you saying all this stuff? You know what? It's super simple. When we love people, we teach them how to love people. When we show up to serve, we teach them how to serve. When we give, we teach them how to give. When we are honest, we are teaching them how to be honest. When we do the things that we're supposed to do, whether in the workplace, whether out and about, no matter where God has called us to serve, when we are doing what we're supposed to do, we are teaching others. And so this transformational leadership, I think is so important that I'm actually going to launch a program, a coaching program. And I want to do it in a way that's really helpful for those who truly want to lead. Because I remember I found a journal and I was journaling back during a season where God was calling me to lead out. And I was frustrated because I'm like, how? I don't know how. Like, what are you asking me to do? And it was so just aggravating to me, right? And so I was journaling through it, and I just wanted to ask questions, and I just wanted to say, well, what about this situation? What about that situation? And so I really want to help you. And so not only I want to put together a program where I share information about, how do you connect with people? How do you handle conflict? How do you get your people to do the hard stuff? How do you get people to rise up? How do you do all of these things that leaders have to do? I don't want just that. I want you to have a community of like-minded women that you can connect with, and who are be an encouragement to you as well, not just me, but that y'all will be an encouragement to one another, because you're all trying to do the same thing. Rise up and lead out in a way that brings honor and glory to the Lord. And so not only will there be teaching, but there'll also be community. And then there will also be live coaching where you get to ask questions and your questions are answered. I've worked with coaches before that I'm like, I have a question. They never got around to my question. And that was so disheartening. That will not happen here in this program. And so I'll be telling you more about it tomorrow. I don't want to keep you too long today, but I did want to tell you that it's really important that we lead when we're leaders, that we really come from, it starts inward, right? Like if we are to be transformational leaders, it's going to start inward. And it starts when our leadership is founded on a firm foundation. And there are so many elements to that. Not just, oh yeah, I believe in the Bible. Oh yeah, I believe in this. But there's so many, foundational stones to build your leadership upon. And we will dig through them and go through them and really get you to a place where you can stand firm on, this is what I believe. This is how I lead. This is what my leadership is founded on. And then the other part of that is identity. Like, who are you? And it's so important that you understand who you are, not because of what you have done or haven't done, but because of who Jesus is and because of what he has done. And so to really dive deep and know, who does the Bible say you are? But as a leader today, who does God say you are? Who is he calling you to be? Not me, but you. Who is he asking you to be? And then we'll go through some exercises so that you can find out, this is exactly who I am. And so when you know who you are and you know what you believe, it really changes everything about your leadership. And so we'll dig deep even into mindset and make sure that how you're thinking doesn't line up with how the world thinks, but lines up with how God thinks. It lines up with biblical truth. Like, you'll start asking yourself, like, who told me that? Who told me that? Why am I doing this? Who told me this? So that you make sure that what you're doing all lines up with the truth of God's word. And so not only will there be some teaching that you'll get to have access to, you have downloadable videos, but you'll also have downloadable resources where you can, dig into and figure things out. Not a lot of homework. I don't mean that. Who wants homework, right? But just really thought-provoking work, things that will just help you shift your mindset, shift your beliefs, shift, what you're doing so that you become the transformational leader that God is asking you to be. So what if we could come together and create a network of leaders who are transformational leaders who show up to love and to serve and to care and lead in a way that brings honor and glory to the Lord, pointing other people to him, not just in the workplace, but that it transforms those people in a way that it changes who they are. And then that changes who their children are and who their children are. You see what I'm saying? Like, it can just have a trickle effect all the way down, but also that they're now capable to teach other people how to become transformational leaders who enriches every life that they touch and honors God in all that they do, so that they can teach other transformational leaders to enrich every life they touch and to honor God in all they do. Man, how you lead, y'all, is so important, that you show up as a Christ-centered transformational leader who shows up to care for the people that God has brought into your sphere of influence, to lead them in a way that you are helping them and mentoring them and pouring into them, right? Who can also help them to grow and mature and start to see things in you that makes them want to know more about who God is calling them to be. I don't know why you're here, but I do know that you are not watching this video by mistake, that God has a plan for you, that he has a plan for your life and for your leadership. Some of y'all have already been leading, and he wants to radically change the way that you lead. Others of you are just about to step into leadership, and he wants you to get ready because he has something that he's about to ask to do, and he wants you to gear up and get ready for that. So wherever you are, whatever this is about, man, it would just be an honor and a privilege for me to be able to come alongside of you. So our first step, if you're like, I want to know more, our first step is just talk. And so we can, right now, I am going to post a link in, I can't read y'all's comments, y'all, without my glasses. Okay, I'm posting a link, and this is for you to schedule a time for us to chat. I'll tell you all about the program, the cost. I'll let you ask me questions about it, and we'll just go through all of that and see if this is a good fit for you. If it is, awesome. We'll get started soon. And if it's not for you, that is fine, but you need the information before you can make the decision. And also, you want to be thinking, who else might this be for that you know? Who can you refer this to? So let's just chat and talk about it and see, because listen, the best thing we can ever do when God is asking us to do something is just pray a one-word prayer, which is just yes. Whatever it is, Lord, wherever it is you're calling me to go, whatever it is you're calling me to do, I say yes to you. And you are in good company if you don't feel qualified, because Moses, Gideon, Joshua, Pam, all of us, probably most of you, right, on this, watching this video right now, you're like, I don't feel qualified either. And that's when God gets all the glory. Man, when he wants to use us, he calls us right out of our comfort zone, right? He could ask us to step right outside where we don't have any choice but to lean on him. So I can't wait to see what he's calling you to do. And I can't wait to tell you about the 3 outward pillars that we need in our leadership if we are to become transformational leaders. And I'm going to share those with you tomorrow. So thank you for being here. I don't want to keep you. I'm going to stop this recording, and we will meet back here again tomorrow.